Alright, if you're wondering how to take your clinic to the next step, or if you just want to buy back some time in order to have more free time or more freedom, this video is basically made for you. And I can guarantee you by the end of this video, you'll be leaving with a rough idea of what kind of automations are out there pertaining clinics and medical services. Keep in mind, we're not burning cash on ads. We don't need to sit here and film hundreds of hours of content or pay bloated SMAs to do it for us in order to drive traffic to your clinic. And there's no sort of overpriced software stack that we're going to be using. As I said, my goal here is to leave you with a selection of automations to choose from. So what exactly are we going into today in this video? Automation basics for practitioners, making your existing patients feel taken care of, supercharging your stuff with AI. Let's get into it. So before we get started, I've actually made a complete database. You'll find that this is a list of 20 or so automations that I've made. So I've included exactly what they do, in which region of your clinic they help you. So if they bring in new patient leads, if they take care of your existing patients, or if they're like back office automations. And I've also attached some notes on my side so you can see exactly what the pro and cons are to each system, and you can then make your own informed decisions as to whether or not to implement this. Okay, this is how a normal value ladder looks like. Now, I've actually taken a value ladder from, I believe this is a dentist's clinic. Yes. So it starts off with free teeth cleaning. So they don't really cost you a lot, few euros per customer. But then you actually go on to hygiene therapy, which is where, you can charge a decent amount. I'm not sure how it is, but here in Europe, I think it's roughly around 50 to 60 euros. And then you have teeth whitening, which is obviously a lot more expensive. And then the holy grail of upsells, which is fillings, tooth fillings, canal fillings. Getting leads to convert initially is the hardest part. And the good news is you've already accomplished. Now it's time to shift our focus on building a solid backbone for your clinic to rely on. Now this can be done in numerous ways by adding AI as another extra business layer on top of what you're currently doing. The way I would do this for clinics is a very simple inbound AI receptionist and scheduling. So you'll have a number that's dedicated to an AI agent that knows everything about your clinic. And you can call in and say, hey, I would like to schedule an appointment with you guys. And the AI goes through a certain list of qualification questions and asks them whether or not they are even the right fit. And it goes ahead and books in a call with them at the end of all this. Referral reward automations are another good way of getting new patients in through the door. AI service recommendations. So if you have a lead that doesn't exactly know what they want, this is a great way of interacting with them and finding out what their needs are, and recommending a perfect service for them from your side. Reactivation campaigns. This can also be done automatically. Again, these are all things to bring in customers via your existing customers so that you can leverage their network as well. Okay, how do you actually make your patients feel taken care of using AI and these systems? The process is very simple. So you can have automated post-visit check-ins, which are a great way of keeping your awareness, your brand awareness high, and also your engagement on if you have social media platforms. This is a great way of getting people to talk about you and your brand. Sadly, they still take up much of your staff's valuable company time. You can have what's called an on-site agent, and this is basically a little chatbot bubble that sits on the bottom corners of your website. And it's just a low-effort way of handling basic recommendations, answering frequently asked questions, collecting emails and phones and all that stuff that would previously take billable company hours. But most importantly, it can qualify what tier of a customer you're bringing in. This is a great way of just segmenting and making sure that you only get those people that you actually want to work with and that can also afford your services. Front desk agent. Now, as I said, you can have a chatbot that handles the text-based side of the service. But you can also have an AI voice agent. So if you experience that people want to call in more often, but you just have a very high call volume, what you can do is actually take that chatbot and make a voice version of it. So people can call into a number that's on your website and they can chat with this AI agent and then have an appointment booked all natively on that platform. And it also integrates well with your calendar and your CRM so you can see what works. I go more into detail in the Google Sheet that I've created for you. All right, supercharging your stuff with AI. Now, you want to have some sort of AI-based team infrastructure in place. For example, if you're using social media to gather in leads, if you deal with a high number of lead influx on your social media platforms, in order to leverage AI correctly, you need to position these agents smartly and then prompt them to a desired scenario. So this may be a call booked with you, or you might offer them a free teeth cleaning on the house, anything to get them sort of through the door and to a desired end scenario, basically. This next one is also very interesting. I know that most clinics have some sort of intake form where they keep tabs on what kind of client profiles they interact with on a daily basis. And this data is super useful when you're running targeted ads and also retargeting ads um, to your ideal customer base. And this can be a 100% automated process. You don't really need to have people that fill out each and every single form and each and every detail. And it's very easy to run targeting campaigns based off of the patient profiles that you collect. And there's so many little workflow automations that can simplify communications in your life. So, for example, I've built Slack agents before that make sure that all your team are on the same page. Or if you have an intake form, you can actually have it on the Slack agent itself. So your patients would go straight to the form. So they would just chat with a normal, which would gather all the information that you need, and then they would pass all this information to your employee. And all they have to do is really just oversee it, make sure that everything is running smoothly. Yeah, so the main principle of automations is to streamline and add efficiency to a machine without adding unnecessary drag. So you can think of your alternatives at this point. It would be running ads, which are costly and they don't work sometimes. Um, you can pay for software to do it, but then it gets very, very clumsy. So you have like 3 different software tools that realistically you can just have one streamlined workflow that just solves everything. Or you can take on more overhead. You can hire more staff. You can go out and look at people, but obviously that comes with its own drawbacks. A higher overhead doesn't necessarily correlate to more productivity. So it's really about finding your balance and knowing when to inject these systems in place and at what phase of your clinic as well. Now let's come to the back office. We want to be able to push your load tolerances when it comes to handling a high number of leads. You have to keep in mind that none of this was possible pre-AI workflows, right? So all of this just emerged in the last year or two, maybe. The real magic here happens when you combine it with a steady lead flow, as I said. And once you'll have these systems in place, it's very easy to see the clear day and night difference between the time spent on tiny tasks that you don't want to, that you shouldn't really be doing as an owner or as a executive. By having these, so as I said, by having the, So as I said, by having these systems in place, you can actually focus on your patients and making sure that you're giving them the highest tier of quality service that you possibly can. And you should see this automating as a magic potion that will allow you to step into a more confident overseer of your operation, anywhere from the back office, as we discussed, to the individual down to the individual customer itself. You may be asking yourself, okay, cool, I know all of these automations, now what? Where I would start is just to have one clear answer to the following questions, and I guarantee you this will simplify things a lot more. What task, if automated right now, would create me the biggest relief? So, in terms of your clinic, what tasks are you performing right now on a day-to-day basis that you could easily or comfortably pass off to automations and AI and systems? And this is actually a nice way to think of it, because in this space you want to be creating small steps but gradual steps to advancing in your field. And pretty much every single automation that's out there can be divided into 2 subcategories, which is it either generates additional revenue or it relieves your time. And you sort of want to start at the second one, right? I know it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but you want to see what you can eliminate first and then think about deploying systems that help you add additional revenue. I encourage you to check out the database that I've made for you below. It's going to be super helpful when you're diving into this new era of your clinic. Now, if you don't know what I do, I run a done-for-you AI development service. So if you're interested to see how the automations that I just mentioned can be fit to your specific operation, you can find a link below where you can apply to work with me. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.